When did you first realize not only you an entrepreneur, but you're a visionary entrepreneur?
When I realized that all I really, really want to do is create something very cool.
Right.
Something no one's done before.
Right.
And that's what keeps me going.
What does vision look like? Because a lot of people don't even know how to think ahead, or they're afraid to try and fail.
You can say you're going to do this and then realize with new information
Right.
that wasn't the vision. We're going this way instead.
Right.
That is totally fine.
What's your optimism level on where we are as a society and where we're going?
It's the golden era for entrepreneurship.
Right.
I mean, the barrier of entry is so low. Anyone can start.
I'm Coach Bob, host of Viva La Visionary, the podcast to, for, from, and about visionaries. Very excited to have Jocelyn Ho with me today. Jocelyn, how are you?
I'm great, Bob. Thanks for having me.
That's right. Good. Glad to have you. So as I've been doing this for a while, I ask people for who else is an amazing visionary entrepreneur that I should have on my show. And about 3 weeks ago, David Feidner raised his hand and said, it's Jocelyn. And 3 other people said, it's Jocelyn. And so I'm like, so we've never met. So nice to meet you. Why do you think they all nodded that you would be great to be on the show as an amazing visionary entrepreneur?
I don't know, man. Maybe
You get to talk about yourself for a second.
I guess because my naivete, I am just jumping in and doing the thing
Right.
and just continuing to push the envelope, I feel.
And it sounds like courage because, you've jumped in and tried many things and been successful. Awesome.
I'm trying my best. Well, like at first it was I'm an accidental entrepreneur. It was completely unplanned.
So tell me about that.
So it actually started during COVID.
Oh, right.
I was a new immigrant at the time. So
Okay.
As soon as I got my green card, COVID hit. Lockdowns happened.
Right.
No jobs anywhere, obviously. And I was a speech language pathologist. I would work with people's mouths, kids' mouths, and not a great job for a pandemic.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I turned to my plant collection. And incidentally, at the time, I had amassed a lot of plants. I have a beautiful south-facing window that overlooks the Detroit River in Windsor.
Yep.
But I had filled my windowsills with plants because it was the best window for sunlight. And my husband was complaining I had too many plants. And I was like, you know what? These are investments.
Right.
Let me show you. And that weekend I made $1,000 and I kind of kept it rolling. And
that's awesome.
And
what's the name of your company?
It's a Rare Plant Fairy.
Rare Plant Fairy. So how did you come up with that name and what does that mean?
Well,
or what does that represent?
So I initially got into plants. When I got into plants, I wanted to collect rare and unique varieties.
Right.
So that was my whole thing. I wanted to propagate and collect all these interesting plants that no one's ever seen before.
Right.
So that's where the Rare Plant came from. And when I was thinking about a company name, it really only took me maybe 10 seconds to come out with Rare Plant Fairy. I'm like, that's it. That's the one.
It came to you,
It just came to me.
Right.
So I wanted something that, a name that was like a personification of something.
Right.
Like, I could be the Rare Plant Fairy or anyone could be the Rare Plant Fairy.
Right.
And hey, rare plants and it's great for SEO. It's in the name.
Well, there you go. No, I love it. That's why I asked because names mean a lot.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So plants are beautiful. What are the other benefits for someone having a plant in their office or in their home?
There's so many benefits, right? The obvious one is, it's great for the air. It purifies the air. But also, it's something that you can take care of that reciprocates. Like it will show you, hey, if you give it consistent care, it will show you that it appreciates it by growing and it doesn't talk back.
That's interesting, right?
You wouldn't believe how many healthcare providers are plant collectors.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
So as a visionary, when I have an idea, it's not going to tell me it's a bad idea.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
That too.
Interesting. So that's interesting. Before we started, I mentioned that my wife and I, we love plants, but we've never really had great success at keeping them alive.
Yeah.
And so we actually literally paid to rent plants. But what I'm hearing is not only is an opportunity for us to buy them, but to take care of them and have a relationship with them.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So they say, it's very expensive to have children nowadays. So, plants are the new pets. And pets are the new children.
Oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I've never had a dog. My kids always wanted a dog, and we travel, and I just didn't feel like dealing with it. And so I would say, all right, tell me, research how much it's going to cost. What are we going to do with the dog when we travel? And then they didn't follow up. So I'm like, okay, cool. I don't have to get a dog. And then my wife said she wanted a dog. So I said, great, let's do it. And I am so happy we have a dog. And it is someone to talk with and loves us when we come home. So I'd never thought about the dog being the new kid. And our kids now are grown and don't live at home. So that's, when he's not there, it's so quiet and lonely.
Doesn't it make so much sense?
Oh, no, it does. And so I hadn't thought. So there's my aha so far, is that a plant not only, to even take ownership to take care of it, that's a big deal. And I think I've avoided that other than my kids.
And it'll reward you with new leaves. And you're like, yes, I did something. I grew that.
Right.
There's empowerment in that too.
Right. We got a plant last summer just from the local store, like grocery store or whatever. And it was out on our back deck. It was like $45. And almost every day the leaves would fall, the flower would fall off. And I'm like, oh, that was good. It lasted for X amount. And it kept coming back. And we just talked about that the other day, that we want that again, because it was magic.
Nice.
How it kept coming back. So you're inspiring me. I like
I
like that. So what's your definition of an entrepreneur and or visionary?
Someone that can, see the future, like overcome obstacles. They can foresee what obstacles may come and then still push forward and keep the vision alive.
And then obviously you accidental entrepreneur. I appreciate that. So when did you realize, I assume you're a visionary?
Very much so.
Okay. And when did you first realize not only you're an entrepreneur, but you're a visionary entrepreneur?
That's a great question. I think when I realized the goal was not money, not that it's not important.
Sure.
Right. It's the lifeblood of a business.
Right.
But when I realized that all I really, really want to do is create something very cool, something no one's done before.
Right.
And that's what keeps me going. Yeah.
And you're providing joy and impact.
Yeah. Right. Yes. And all the problem solving, and the fact that it's a creative pursuit too. I can do anything.
Right.
The sky's the limit.
I love it. That's such a great attitude. Now, have you ever found, I know a lot of visionaries, as the business grows and we're at our capacity, a lot of times as we put processes in, which are necessary, sometimes many visionaries lose their creativity. Have you found any of that, or has that been an issue for you at all?
I am the first to admit I am not a process person.
Right.
I understand.
I'm not either.
I understand the importance of process, and I can perhaps force myself to write the process the first time around.
Right.
But I'm not the process person. So I have to hire people to do these things so that I can still be the visionary that I am.
Right.
Yeah.
But again, it's a lot of times when there's process, what I've experienced is that I'm the issue as the visionary, because I try new things and I change direction. And again, I think that's part of my job. And so as we put a process in, often it's like, okay, Bob, step aside. We need to put things in place, which ultimately I think makes sense. But I find sometimes it's like, well, Bob keeps changing directions. And so I actually kind of pulled back on my creativity years ago. And I find that a lot of visionaries that I coach, when they do put process in, so they've now hit $1 million in sales and they have 10 employees and too much of it's up here. So process is needed often, but a lot of times the visionary loses their creativity. So what I'm doing now is coaching visionaries to put the soul back in their role, because sometimes with process, creativity gets pushed out. So you haven't experienced that, which is good. And maybe you don't have to.
Well, like I do find myself like, oh, am I too much of a visionary now? Do I need to step back and like be more in the business? Am I too out of the business? I do have these thoughts all the time.
Right.
Yeah. And so far, I feel like I have a very healthy mix.
Yep.
I think building the right team is the most important thing.
Right.
I'm still pretty new at this. We're not even 6 years old yet.
Right.
So I feel like there's so much still to learn. I know that eventually, if I could just be in the visionary seat, life would be perfect.
Right.
But right now, I still have to, be in the day to day because at the end of the day, we're still a small team. We're 25 people right now. So yeah, I hope I never lose that. But we run on EOS,
right?
So like I try, like we always have to think of the 3-year vision, the 10-year vision, and that like keeps my sights set high and far.
Oh, I love it. So what's one lesson that you've learned that you can share that kind of catapulted you to the next level personally or professionally?
Well, couple of things,
sure.
Honestly. First was discovering Entrepreneurs Organization and joining EO Detroit. I mean, that honestly saved my life, I feel like, and gave my sanity back. Like I knew I had all these problems and something wasn't quite right, but I also couldn't verbalize it properly to anyone that would understand because my friends around me, they never walk this path. So they don't know what I'm talking about or they don't quite get it. I have this problem, XYZ. And then, normally they'll be like, why don't you just hire someone?
Right.
I'm like, yeah, I wish I thought of that.
There's this thing called cash flow, right?
Yes, or it's not that easy. Like, how do you even hire right? How do you even onboard right? Like, what is this person I am hiring for now? How am I going to fill up their 40 hours? There's so many things to learn when you're also trying to build a business.
Right.
So for me, I was trying to build the plant business, how to learn how to grow them better, how to grow them faster, how to grow more varieties, how to even do the e-commerce thing. There's the operational side of things, but there's also, the people side. How do I hire? How do I retain? How do I fire?
Right.
How do I hold people accountable? There's so many things to learn. It's never ending.
Right. So EO has been a huge learning opportunity for you.
Yes. And just the sharing, for in EO, we have forum and we have, people, we share our experiences. And then you realize across industries, people have the same problems, the people issues, the hiring issues, all of that is same across the board. The operational side, it could be different because everyone's business is different. But the running of the business side of things, everyone shares those problems. Right.
Yeah. Gino did an amazing job coming up. He told me years ago that there's only 16 issues in business. We just call them different things. And so he created something for small to mid-sized businesses that if it helps me, it helps you. It's amazing what he's created.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So what else has EO Detroit done for you?
Well, the camaraderie piece, just knowing people, have my back, and they'll be like, yeah, I've gone through this, or I've gone through this and worse, and you'll be fine. Right. Just knowing that people have walked this path before and seeing where they are now.
Right.
I mean, just that is really helpful.
And for me, it's been the confidentiality and the vulnerability, because often the biggest lessons are from when we've fallen down. Yes. So whether it's me sharing or someone else sharing to say, hey, here's what I tried and here's what didn't work. And so to shorten that learning curve has been huge, and experience share with each other.
Yeah. And EO really focuses on the whole entrepreneur, not just the business side, but family, personal as well. Because when you're a small business, it all intertwines. If you're not doing well, personally, it's bleeding into everything. It's affecting your family. It's affecting your business, your employees. Everyone's unhappy.
Right. Right. Oh, absolutely. So with your business, what is your target market? I mean, again, it's anyone who wants plants, but is it a specific either business size or a psychological mentality?
Yeah, so we sell direct to the end user. So usually the plant collector that's looking for something special.
Okay.
Looking for something that they can't find in a garden center. something they saw on Instagram, or they want to show off on Instagram. So a lot of people buy our plants and they film unboxing videos and then post them on Instagram or YouTube or things like that. Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. And how does someone get a hold of you, or to what's your website, or how do people reach out to you or your company?
Yeah. So our website is rareplantfairy.com, and we also have an app that's on the Apple Store.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And it's the same name for
Rare
the app.
Plant Fairy. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Great. And you said you were an immigrant. Where did you come from, and what brought you to Detroit?
So I'm originally from Hong Kong and Toronto. I met my husband in Hong Kong. He's American. And he used to be a structural engineer. So through his job, we actually moved around. We moved from Hong Kong to Dubai to New York.
Wow.
To Detroit for the Hudson's project. So he was the structural engineer on the Hudson's.
Oh, wow.
And so
that's what brought you here, right? Yeah. So what's your impression of Detroit compared to all the other worldly places you've lived?
Detroit's the smallest big city I've ever lived in.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. The vibe here is different. I think it's more. It's very much a village vibe. Like everyone wants to help each other.
Interesting.
I think in much larger cities like New York or Hong Kong, people are a little jaded. Like, they always have an angle. But I find like Detroiters is so willing to help.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think they're Midwest were friendlier. I say hi to everyone. And if I'm in New York, I'll say hi to someone and they don't respond. So I even go out of my way to say hi to even more people. I don't know if they appreciate that, but so we're more of a village. That's interesting.
Fill them with kindness.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Well, and we have such history of being entrepreneurs with the automotive and whatnot. I think we have that kind of in our blood.
Yeah.
And even as a city, we've fallen down many times, whether it be the economy or too dependent on these big companies, and we keep coming back.
Yes, I feel like you can definitely feel the grit. I feel like Detroiters have something to prove. There's a chip on their shoulder, and they just want to prove people wrong, and then they want to succeed. And I feel like that spirit is a very entrepreneurial spirit.
So that reminds me, have you heard of the book Driven by Dr. Doug Brackman?
No, I have not.
He wrote a book. He's a psychologist or psychiatrist, whichever, but he studied human behavior and even genetically. And how I remember him explaining it, there's about 8% of us that have a different biological makeup. And we just literally are driven. And so we're trying to prove ourselves. And we've got a lot of energy, may have addictive personality. And the one that I thought was very interesting is imposter syndrome. And when I first talked to Dr. Doug, I said, that's not my issue. I'm very confident. And as we talked, I'm like, oh shit, I have it as well, because I want you to say, wow, I can't believe that, that Bob has done all these things. And, and I want people to look up to me and whatnot. So we're working very hard to prove ourselves. So when you talked about the grit of Detroit and the entrepreneurship, I think that there's probably a similarity there.
There's something there.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then it's not about doing things to look good. It's ultimately, we flipped it. And this is one of the things that I'm working on for myself and others, is that I don't need to prove myself to you, but ultimately to be happy with myself. And so that's where I find a lot of us driven visionaries are, I need to do this, I need to do this. And you mentioned we're a whole person. And so even when I started with EO, our definition of success was to ring the bell. And that's to sell for $10 million. And so that's kind of all I cared about. And that was my only definition of success. And so if I haven't done that, then I'm not successful. I have to keep working. And I've realized success is just, it's all in here. Yeah. So does that resonate with you, or any comments on that?
I mean, it reminds me of the arrival fallacy.
Oh, so what is that?
So it's like there's always a destination you're looking for. And then once I hit that goal, everything's going to be great. Life is going to be amazing. And then you hit that goal and it's like, now what? Yeah. Now you look for the next one. So that's what you're describing just reminded me of the arrival fallacy. Yeah.
Sure.
How did it feel once you hit 10 million?
Right. And for most people, it's like, there's got to be more.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm learning to tap in, and EO has helped me with that a lot, is to tap into my emotions, because I grew up in the happy family. So even if I was feeling sad or angry, my parents would be like, get over it. You got a great life. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. But then I shoved down lower vibrational energies, but also higher vibrational. So I would shove down sadness, but was I truly experiencing joy? And so that's where ultimately the arrival philosophy, I believe, is similar, that why can't I be happy now? And have you ever heard of the book Letting Go by David Hawkins?
No.
Okay, so that's another one that he's a psychologist, and he passed away years ago, but he talked about there's different vibrational levels of consciousness and energy and emotions. So there might be shame and anger and fear and judgment and pride even. And then as soon as we get to courage, that's the first real positive emotion. And once we get there, that's when we can get to peace and love and whatnot. And so ultimately in the process, as I understand it, is to acknowledge the emotion and consciousness, then to accept it. So even personally, I wouldn't even acknowledge it. I'm not sad. Everything's fine. But to even say, hey, I'm sad that my daughter's getting married. But to feel that. And I had a point where my daughter got married almost 2 years ago, and I was in yoga, and I was just laying on my back, and I started to cry, which I don't cry a lot. And it was tears of sadness that my little girl was growing up. But then once I acknowledged it and accepted it, all of a sudden we go up to higher levels. And then I got to joy like in seconds. And I realized I wasn't even experiencing that joy because I've had my head down to prove myself. So that's been a big learning opportunity for me.
That's interesting. Doesn't entrepreneurship teach us so much about personal development?
Huge.
It's really a personal quest.
Yes. And it's not just about a business. And even with a lot of the teams that I coach, like you mentioned, EOS and EO, it's entrepreneur organization, entrepreneur operating system. Not everyone's an entrepreneur, but everyone could be entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
So as we are learning, like you said, not only to sell more plants and have more impact and provide more joy and make more money and hire people, it's, well, how are you learning? And it's also helping our employees to be entrepreneurial. What is the vision for their role or their goal? And we help each other to achieve that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Very well, thank you. I appreciate that. So any other questions for me or thoughts about entrepreneurship or visionaryship? I don't think that's a word, but I'm going to TM that word.
Well, actually, I recently came across a concept called antifragility. Heard of this?
No, I have not.
So there's two concepts in this world. Like if you hold a mug and if you drop it, it breaks. It's fragile. If it doesn't break, it's robust. But there's a third option. Okay. What if something breaks, reforms, and is stronger than what it was before?
Okay, interesting.
So an example of this would be the immune system, the human immune system.
Right.
Which, you have a fever, and then after getting a shot, and then a flu shot, and then now you're immune to the flu, and you're healthier than before.
Right.
You're stronger than before. So entrepreneurship or being an entrepreneur is kind of like that.
Right.
Because you have to fall.
Yep.
Break and then reassemble
and get back up. Right.
And be stronger than the version of yourself that was before.
I love that. So what was that called?
Antifragility.
Antifragility. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think visionary can be taught, or people I don't think can be taught to be visionaries. I think we're born with it. Yeah. But we visionaries can teach what it's like to have vision. And I think that's when you talked about that it's like, it's okay to dream about what do you want your role to be? What are you looking for in life? With my son, when he was in high school, he's a very good baseball player. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do after high school? And he's like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, but if you did know. And so as a sophomore, he was like, well, I'd like to play D1 and play all 4 years baseball and somewhere warm and fun. And then so we toured for a summer down in the South, and he got a lot of interest. And then Princeton called. And it's not warm or fun. But then he reassessed and said, well, I could play probably all 4 years because he's good enough to do that. I could get a great education. So I don't think is a visionary, but he's learning it's okay to think about what he wanted in the future and what would that look like and feel like. So it's about vision. And then a lot about vision is try it and you might fall down and you might break, but we can put you back together, or you can put yourself back together.
Yeah.
So I think that's an interesting opportunity for us to teach what does vision look like? Because a lot of people don't even know how to think ahead, or they're afraid to try and fail.
I wonder if people are afraid to commit to a vision because they're afraid to be wrong. But
totally.
But like it's okay. You can say you're going to do this and then realize with new information that wasn't the vision. We're going this way instead. Right. That is totally fine. I think some people get into the mindset of being very stubborn about it too.
Yep. Right.
So it's important to be agile.
And I think that might come back to imposter syndrome, that if I do something and it doesn't work, are you going to think I'm a failure? Or even more, am I going to think I'm a failure? Mm-hmm. So I think that is a learning opportunity and a strength that we can have, that it's not failure. We just tried something.
Yeah. I think like failure is actually knowing that it's the wrong way and keep going anyway.
And we wouldn't find out unless we tried.
Yes, right. Exactly.
And then even back to community and peer groups like EO, I can learn from something that you tried, and that's where a lot of times when someone brings up an issue, it's like, okay, I've been there, or I'm going through it, or I'm going to go through it. So how can we learn together? Mm-hmm, and that shortens that learning curve. Yeah. Well, cool. I appreciate that. Any other lessons or things that you've learned that you can share?
Honestly, there's so many, and I'm still learning. I think the best thing about it is if you have a growth mindset. I think that's one of the most important things.
Right.
As an entrepreneur, to have growth mindset and to know that, think in terms of abundance.
Yes.
Yes, I'm going to learn more. And yes, there's always going to be more. If it's meant for me, it's meant for me.
Right.
I just keep learning.
Right. So what's your optimism level on where we are as a society and where we're going? And I'm not even thinking politically. I'm just saying in general. I think this is the greatest time ever to be alive. But
I think it's the golden era for entrepreneurship.
Right.
I mean, the barrier of entry is so low. Anyone can start.
Yeah.
Anyone can start a online shop just like that within 10 minutes. So
yeah.
The world's your oyster.
I love that. I think it's a great time to be alive. I learned in EOS that as we're growing, it's evolution. And when we hit a ceiling, and it might be there's just too much information or too many employees or technology, that we are looking for revolution. And that's when we bust through that ceiling. And I believe that we've hit the ceiling of complexity as a society. And that's when there is fear and frustration. But to me, it's an opportunity for us entrepreneurs and visionaries to say, okay, what can we do to move to the next level?
I mean, there's so much available to us right now. Like, I think a lot of things that were not available to just a random person in their home. We have tools to open a shop. We have data that's at our fingertips with AI.
Right.
All of these tools are being democratized. Everyone can have access to it.
Right.
So I think it's a great time to be alive, to be creative, and to see what your creativity can do, and to make a living out of it.
Right. And that's such a great feeling. Yeah. So shifting a little bit, why do you feel you're on this planet, or what's your legacy? I like to have small questions.
Why am I on this planet? Well, I think I'm here to do as much as I can with what I've got. Right. Honestly, to enjoy life at its fullest. I feel like I've lived many lives already.
Right.
And just take opportunities as they come and enjoy the process. I think sometimes we focus so much on the goal that we lose the now.
Right.
And the ing, the ing.
Right.
the continuous
so living,
verb.
Loving.
Yeah.
Right. Laughing.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I love that. So that's your legacy. I get that.
I don't know if I'm there yet to actually pinpoint a legacy. I don't know.
Well, and some people say, why do I ask that question? Well, as we've talked about, not seeing the future, but having images of the future. And so I'm big on imagining a future, and it doesn't always work out the way I think, but even just to be optimistic. And I know you're very optimistic. And so to think about what that looks like often brings that forth. So whether it changes what's coming to us, or I'm just more aware of when it comes. So if I'm putting out negativity and what's going to go wrong now, and what's Jocelyn going to think if I say that, I'm probably going to get that. But if I'm positive and I'm thinking about how can I help you and what can we do together, who can we connect to each other, it's amazing how it happens.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about your legacy question a little bit more. Some people ask me like, do you think it was a waste of time to get a master's degree and go through, speech language pathology and then not use your degree anymore?
Right.
And I look back and I'm like, no, because I had impacted so many families. And if I had such an impact and changed the course of like one family's life,
right,
that was worth it.
Right. And how many people are they impacting?
Yes.
Right.
And like here as an entrepreneur, if I could have inspired one other business or a few other people to even pursue something a little bit different, hey, maybe that's enough.
Right. So we just met, but I already see why people recommended that you come on Viva La Visionary. You're infectious.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, no, you have a great energy, and it's not just your smile and your words. You have a different energy in the way you carry yourself.
Oh.
So to me, the legacy is you're providing beauty, value, inspiration. And I don't think it has to be specific that my legacy is I did this, but it's to me, it's almost a feeling more than anything. And so I think you're already living part of your legacy.
Oh, great. Thanks, Bob.
Absolutely.
You made my day.
All right. Well, that's what I'm here for. So any questions you have for me or anything else you want to share with our audience? And it can be about anything. It could be about visionary, entrepreneur, life.
Buy a plant.
Right. Well, there you go.
If you don't have a pet, or children, buy a plant and give it a name.
Right. No, I love that. Very cool. So my last question for you, the name of this podcast is Viva La Visionary. What does Viva La Visionary mean to you when you hear that or feel that?
It's like a battle cry.
Right.
Like, yeah, let's go, visionaries.
Right. Exactly. Well, and a lot of times where they came from was I mentioned earlier, sometimes we visionaries get a bit of a rap that I'm all over the place or Bob keeps trying things. And so that's defeated me at times. And so with being an EO and we have the Visionary Forum, it's like, no, without us, what would be happening in the world? Mm-hmm. And we're no better than anyone else, but it is, go for it, man. It's so I love that. Well, thank you for your time, your wisdom, and I'm glad I got to know you and excited to know you more.
Yay.
All right. Thanks, Bob. Thank you. All right. Thank you very much.